Welcome to Todos Cafeteros. I'm going to look back on match days 15 and 16 of the CONMEBOL World Cup 2026 qualifying games here in CONMEBOL in South America. Specifically with regards to the Colombian national team, I'm going to look at those two games that the Colombian team has played on June 6th against Peru in Barranquilla, and then a few days later on June 10th in Buenos Aires against Argentina. Those are two very important games. Prior to match day 15, Colombia is in 6th spot in the qualifying table, basically the last spot that allows for direct qualification, while 7th spot still has to go through an additional playoff series to qualify for the World Cup next year. So the Colombian national team definitely needs a win. And spoilers, they couldn't get one. They drew both games, but let's dive right in. Let's kick it off with the game against Peru that ended scoreless in Barranquilla. Here, let's look at the formation and what Nestor Lorenzo did differently to his campaign previously. The starting 11 looked a little bit different here. 6 changes, starting with Kevin Mier in goal for Vargas because of strong performance according to Nestor Lorenzo, and because Vargas had a surgery just in April, yet Lorenzo said that played no role as he's fit to play. But still, the keeper change here, that would also be the same for the game against Argentina. So both matches, Mir in goal. Jerry Mina for Lucumi in central defense. Boya for Mujica as left back. And Castaño, since March, playing for River Plate, now in the starting lineup for Richard Rios. Richard Rios would come back against Argentina to start there. Hernandez, since February at Real Betis, before that in the MLS, plays for Lucho, Luis Diaz, who is suspended due to too many yellow cards. The only player from those that played previously that was not on the bench, again due to his suspension. In central forward position, Duran, he was back as the central striker. And we start the game with a flyover. Then in the second minute, James with an early chance, but misses. 21st minute, Duran with a miss. He tried to get the ball into the long corner, but missed it just by a little. Scoreless at halftime. And in the 62nd minute, a couple more questionable substitutions, even bringing a player from the local Primera A, Nestor Lorenzo here with more experiments. 69th minute, Peru with a great chance. They also just missed by a little. Peru parked the bus and this became a very boring game afterwards. 88th minute, a perfect example how to waste 2 chances to potentially win the game. And so this game ended scoreless. Some fans whistled after the game and we get only 1 point out of the home match against Peru. And from this goalless draw against Peru, we're going to move on to look at the game against Argentina. In Argentina, a 1-1 draw here in Buenos Aires. What did Lorenzo Nestor change here in the starting lineup, and what did the team do on the field? Nestor Lorenzo with some changes here in the starting 11 compared to the Peru game. Lucumi back in central defense. Campas, who plays in Argentina but has been plagued with injuries for the past year, plays in Lucho's left winger position. Lucho now acts as the central forward, while Rios was back in the starting lineup and him and James taking turns to come over the right side. Again, interesting here that Lucho plays central forward, but it worked. It turned out to be a great offensive technique change in position here. It was all Lucho in the first half. We're skipping a few chances, but in the 24th minute, it was Lucho with the 1-0 lead goal. Lucho against 3-4 defenders for the 1-0 lead. So Colombia goes into halftime with the lead. And in the second half, again, Lucho plays central striker, 46th minute. Lucho against 4, 5, 6 alone. He misses, but he can't take on more than half of the Argentinian team. 7 if you count the goalkeeper, all by himself. And so Argentina got better and better into the game. 63rd minute, Argentina with the chance to tie. Didn't work out at that point. 68th minute, another chance after Mir lets the ball bounce following a messy free kick. In the 70th minute, a red card for Fernandez, no question. A very bad kick against the forehead of Castaño. Argentina now with 10 players on the pitch. Nevertheless, in the 81st minute, Argentina ties the game after Colombia lost the ball in their own half. And it was a 1-1, yet Colombia had the chance to win the game. 86th minute, Richard Rios had the game winner on his head, but cannot direct the ball past the goal line. It hits the post. And so the game ends in a 1-1 draw. Another point for Colombia to stay in 6th place in the table. So what are the takeaways from those two games? Well, the takeaway is 2 points out of 2 games. It's too little against Peru, slightly lucky against Argentina, but now they're only 4 points ahead of Venezuela. Venezuela will be one of the 2 teams that Colombia still plays against here in the last 2 match days. So it can get very interesting if the first game here isn't a win. 4 points ahead of Venezuela, 5 points ahead of Bolivia. We don't need to focus our attention to anything ahead because whether they'll end up in 5th, 6th, 1st, doesn't matter. The first 6 qualify for the World Cup. So the World Cup qualification is everything. Positioning here doesn't really matter too much. And so looking ahead at match days 17 and 18, the last 2 match days, there are 2 more games in September. The first one at home against Bolivia on September 9th. The stakes are clear, the expectations are clear. Colombia wins and they're going to a World Cup. They lose or they draw. It'll depend on what the other teams do, especially Venezuela. And again, Bolivia here, if Colombia loses, Bolivia will be within 2 points. Venezuela wins, they're within 1 point, which then Colombia will play in Venezuela on September 14th. If Colombia doesn't win against Bolivia, this will be basically a play-in game, a playoff game to decide who goes to the World Cup and qualifies directly. Worst case, Colombia loses to Bolivia and loses to Venezuela, while Venezuela and Bolivia win their other respective games, and Colombia is out. They're going to be in 8th spot. There's not even going to be a play-in. So everything is still on the table, from direct qualification, play-in spot, to completely being eliminated. High stakes here in September. Again, 1 win against Bolivia and the whole thing is done. The debate is over and the game against Venezuela will be nothing but a friendly for Colombia. Obviously for Venezuela will still be about the play-in spot, but for Colombia that'll be it. So I hope Lorenzo Nestor will put the best 11 on the pitch and not experiment with players from Nacional. Like, put the internationally known good quality players on the pitch and try to win against Bolivia. Don't mess around like against Peru or the earlier game in Bolivia, in El Alto, that the team didn't end up winning. Bring the star players, bring the ones with experience, and put the best 11 out on the pitch. For the players, give it your all. There's only one more game that matters. If you mess that up, you have a second chance against Venezuela. In Venezuela, that'll be interesting. But we'll stay tuned. I'm going to watch those games for you. Watch them with me or catch up on what happened there later in September. I'm going to make a separate video about those. Until then, thank you for watching. This was Todos Cafeteros. Until next time.